Okay, we're live here on Facebook. I've been a little out of commission because I had to rearrange the office. If you haven't noticed, I got rid of almost half of my books and painted, got a new desk. I just had to get some furniture. And then my monitor broke. It blew a capacitor, so I had to wait for that to come in and then repair it. But we're up and running. So, hey Jair. I thought what I would do today, I've got an hour here before I gotta get on calls, but I thought what I would do is introduce our new tool. So I'm going to go over to a screen share and basically take you through it. And so that way you can get an idea of what we're able to do and how it works, and how it can help you if you're interested. So let me get the screen going here. There we are. So this is an actual report of, hold on a minute, of somebody that, went through the process. Hold on a minute. I should have had all this ready. The heck is wrong with me? So anyway, this is the report. It's called the IBO Report. Your Integrated Behavioral Orientation featuring TARP, T-A-R-P. So, I'm going to take you through so you can see what you will get. Now, before I say anything else, you're going to get debriefed by me on this profile so that you can grasp what it's really saying. So it's so deep, but yet if you don't understand it fully, it might be hard for you to assess yourself in that way. So we've got our table of contents here, and then right over here, I've got this stop, read this entire profile for best results, because not everybody does that. The first part, this is so great, and it's so good. So this measures what's known as your natural energies. And I list the 4 primary emotions here. So the first one here is, the anger. Maybe I need to learn to draw. Your anger emotion, right here. All right, this is your anger emotion. And what it does is it measures intensity levels. So over here on the right, is 100, all right? So very high. And over here in the lower intensity region, it is also very high. And so we're measuring intensity levels in how intensities are heightened. You can have a lower intensity that's heightened. Okay, so when I say heightened, what we're talking about is the energy. So the less energy, the more heightened one becomes in the low energy area. So on the left, you are either surrendered to circumstances, or you become very decisive on the right. So this particular individual, we're going to call him Michael because that's his first name. He's up here. So he has a higher intensity in the area of decisiveness. So this guy, he's ready to make a decision, and most people around him aren't. Okay? So this is good to know. Now, let's look at the optimism emotion. So that's the next one right here, optimism, the optimistic emotion. We got a higher intensity, which makes an individual more emotional, right? We got a lower intensity. What happens? Logical. So you can be very highly logical right here. And we're measuring how logical your brain is. Now, we got a gray box in the middle of all of these right here. I'll just mark it up for you. There's a gray box, okay? And so this is known as the centralized zone. If your numbers are falling within a centralized zone, then we tell you at the bottom what that's going to mean right here. And so if your scores fall within the gray central zones on the above graphs, this may be an indication that you're currently under duress, you're currently in a transitional period, or you are currently unsure of your emotional state. Take this into consideration when interpreting your results. That happens sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it does happen. All right, patience, the patience emotion right here. So this individual is between high and very high on impulsiveness. Okay, so what does that mean? I'm extremely decisive up here. Okay, up here, extremely decisive and impulsive. What happens when you put those two together? Then I'm ready to decide now. Once this individual believes they know what to do, they act just like that. So very important. Michael, good morning. So extremely important to know. All right, fear emotion down here, okay? A higher intensity, an individual becomes extremely calculating because everything is approached as if they're dismantling a bomb, okay? But as you get down here where this individual is, they become careless. What does careless mean? It means less care, okay? So the brain doesn't value carefulness, it values decisiveness. It values an emotional limbic state of mind, which is intuitive and instinctive. So this individual looks at the bomb and instinctively knows what to do, or they believe they instinctively know what to do and will act on instinct. If they're wrong, somebody will say that was a very careless action, right? And so very powerful. Okay, so now we're moving to current orientations. So that first graph we looked at is their natural energies. This is how they are naturally, okay? This is what they're doing currently in their work. Look at what happens. Look at what happens to the patient's emotion, okay? Very high intensity. Very high intensity. So patience in work is almost non-existent. It's almost non-existent. And look at what happens with the anger emotion. It's way up here. Okay? So what's going on? Okay, these are the orientations and we spell them out for you. Anger is a taking orientation right here. So what does that mean? It means this individual takes, it says it right here, takes things by force. Think about it. Takes things by force. What does that look like? Hey, give me the shovel. That's how that looks. Give me the shovel. Well, what if they were way down here? Very intense in the surrender role. Surrenders to circumstances. What does that look like? What does surrender look like? Okay? Taking orientation takes things by force. That's the higher intensity of this emotion being in play. What if this emotion's not in play and it's at the extreme end of not in play? Then you surrender to the circumstances. Your brain's thinking they probably won't let me borrow that shovel. So what do? Nothing. You either ask if it's okay, if you can borrow it. Excuse me, are you done with that? Well, what happens if they just look at you and say no, and they're still not using it? What are you going to do? How about nothing? You see, it's because of how your brain functions. And so super, super, super powerful. Okay, the attracting orientation. What is that all about? Well, people are either emotionally connected to other people. Think of plugging in the light. Plugging in. They're either emotionally connected or they're emotionally distant. So this individual is pushing towards highly emotionally distant. Well, what does that mean? It means I don't care what you think because I'm not connected to you. I'm distant emotionally from you. The closer we are emotionally to an individual or a group, another person, whatever, then the more what they do affects us, and what we do, we believe affects them. So the more we believe that what we do will affect them. So this is why when it comes to psychopathy, people are emotionally distant from other people. So it's called feeling into people. They don't feel into people. So the less you're able to feel into someone, the more what you do or how they react to what you do becomes ineffective to you. Okay? So super powerful. So this guy's not super emotionally distant, but he's in the emotionally distant quadrant, which is right here. Okay? He's in the quadrant. So less affected by what other people think, more affected when it comes to, getting things done. All right. We covered the patients. So that's called responsive. The responsive orientation. What does that mean? The higher the intensity when in play, the more hopeful and hesitant. Okay, now think of this. Imagine being really high here, hopeful and hesitant, and at the same time, your anger emotion is surrendering to circumstances. Are you going to get your way? No, you will not get your way. You will not get your way. You will settle for what you can get, but you will struggle to fight for what you want. Okay? You ever heard the term, well, you can't fight City Hall? That's a surrendering attitude. Good or bad? Neither. It has nothing to do with good or bad. It has everything to do with your capacity for making things happen. Not everybody makes things happen. Some people hope things happen. The attracting people, they imagine things happening. That doesn't mean they make it happen. They dream about it. But what if you're anger and optimistic at the same time? Whatever you imagine, you make. You imagine it and then you make it. Okay? It's so powerful. What do preservation people do? So the preserving orientation down here. Okay? In play, very high. Cautious, doubtful, very low. Independent and subversive. Independent and subversive. So, what is this individual? Emotionally distant, eager and impulsive, independent and subversive, and they take things by force. What does that mean? It means get the hell out of their way. And if you don't know what you're doing when you're working with this person, you had better figure it out. Okay? That's what it means. So rather than thinking, oh, I don't think Mike likes me, you now can think, oh, gosh, I get it. I understand that this guy doesn't put up with nonsense in his own life or in anybody else's if what they're doing is having an effect on his life. So super, super powerful. Okay, next thing. Okay, current task orientation. So how does this person do things as, thinking in tasks? Here it is. Makes things happen. We just talked about it. Look at him. He's over 80 out of 100 on making things happen. What about over here? Logically apprehensive on this end. Imagines things will happen on this end. Well, this individual makes things happen, but the way he views the world and the people in it is from a logical, apprehensive perspective. When at work. So this person is in their work. This person's actually a strong project manager type and does project management. So it's a very logical approach. What does that mean? It means I don't do stupid. That's what it means. So if you're not the brightest bulb on the tree, you're going on the shit list. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. But it's so powerful. Okay, helpful. This is helpful, right? This is patience. We're still talking about patience. All right? Hopes things happen. This guy doesn't hope things happen. We talked about it already. He makes things happen up here. So what's he doing here? Hastens things along. What does that look like? Hey, I thought you said this was going to be done today. Right? This is about patience. When your patience is limited, you're hastening things along. Always. All right? All right, next thing. What's going on here? Thoughtful. So this is the thinking piece. This is, again, the fear emotion. What happens? Doubts things will happen. No, he doesn't doubt things will happen. He throws caution to the wind while making things happen right now. And I'm not even connected to the way you feel about it. Boom! This is called the core dominant. Okay? Who does this look like? How about Donald J. Trump? Same profile. Okay. Oh my God, this is great. Next thing. So here's a graph you may be a little more familiar with. So this here is graph 2 in the disc series. Okay? And so we're using this model for those that are more familiar with that. This is what it looks like here. This is a visionary. And here's, patience and fear down here. Anger, optimism up here. Well, what does that mean? Well, anger and optimism are active emotions. Patience and fear are passive emotions. Well, when patience and fear are up here, then they're in play, so they're passive. Okay? But what if, they're way down here? What happens? Well, what's the opposite of passive? Active. So now we've got active. What does that mean? Fast and faster. Okay, what about, this is the natural orientation. This is the energy system. What's an energy system? Your energy system is your brain's energy source. Okay, so these are your emotions. Your emotions are your brain's energy source. Okay? So whenever you're going to do something in the world, whenever you're going to make a decision, I need to borrow that pen, I need to hire somebody, fire somebody, make a tough decision, have a hard conversation with my mate, whatever it is, your brain seeks for the available energy to pull it off, right? Does this individual have energy to have a difficult conversation? Yes, they do. Look at them at work. The only emotion in play is anger, and there's zero patience. So the further anger and patience get away from one another, the further anger and patience get away from one another, the more direct an individual becomes. Okay? So this is oftentimes why this is called the director. Okay? Now what we do is we offer you a little key down here. So we talk about, see, we have TARP right here. This is TARP. Taking, attracting, responding, preserving. So then we come down here to the key, right down here, and we spell it out for you. You can look at the T line, taking, and it says aggressive approach. Attracting, what is that? It's a persuasion approach. It's persuasive. So naturally, this person's very persuasive because, you know, the I in the disc is the A in the TARP. Okay? So naturally, this person's an attractor. Right up here. Okay? But at work, no. That's not the case because this person believes if I want to get things done, I got to make it happen on my own because no one else is going to do it. What does that say about the people he's working with? You can tell what it says by what he's feeling he has to do in an effort to be successful. Okay? This is sick, powerful. Responding, safe approach. Look at the safe approach. Is this guy safe? Can anybody give me a big no? You know? I don't know if you remember The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I know in the book it does this. I don't know if it did it in the movie, but in the book, I forget if it's Lucy or the little girl is talking to, I think it's Edmund, about the lion, Aslan the lion, okay? And the movie's great because the lion is so majestic. But, you know, she asked the question, one of them asked the question, is Aslan safe? Is he safe? And she says, no, but he's good. There's a lot of good people out there that are not safe. That's not bad. It's just, it doesn't feel safe. Now, extreme safety conscious women will marry emotionally unsafe men. Why? Okay, I'll tell you why. Now, if you look at the disc key over here, submissive, okay, that's patience. Submissive is safety oriented. So if this individual was above, let's say 75 up here somewhere, they'd be safety oriented. What is that? It's what I call the annoying cricket. It sits on your shoulder and basically whispers in your ear all day. Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure it's safe to go in there? Blah, 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 all day long. Typically, women who have a strong safety consciousness will be attracted to unsafe men. Why? That's my original question. Because they know that if somebody breaks in the house to take their kids or abduct them, this guy will kill them. That's why. Now, it's one thing to have Aslan staked out at the front door. It's another thing to have Aslan in your bed. Okay, and what I mean by that is, yeah, bad boys. What I mean by that, it's a broader context. Living with Aslan isn't easy, but Aslan comes in handy when you're being attacked. Okay, so this is how the brains function. All right, cool stuff. Let's move on. What else have we got in this bag of toys? Look at this. Your psychic energy, behavior, and brain type. Look, we've got analytical brain type, integrated brain type, intuitive brain type, and we've got everything in between here. And so, very, very powerful. So this individual is a 5 on intuitive. So this is a very intuitive thinker. And so we outline down here what these things can mean. So intuitive people recognize faces. Okay, what does that mean? They can walk into a room, they're about to have a discussion, they can look at everybody's face, and then they know in their mind, this is not going to go over well. And therefore, depending on the degree of emotional intelligence they have, they will alter what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, in an effort to meet the emotional needs of the people in the room based on the level of intrinsic value they're placing on other people and their negative or positive biases. Okay? And so you got to have a whole lot of other stuff going on in your mind other than your behavior orientation to be super successful. Music, able to read people's emotions, strong imagination, intuition, all coming out of the limbic system. Is that created solely based on graph 2 or graph 1 as well? This is based on your natural style. Your brain type is going to be based on the natural style. You can switch behaviors that causes you to be more analytical for certain periods of time, like in your work or whatever. So here's what you need to do. Your brain is your brain. I always talk about this, like your brain is like a cake with several ingredients to make the cake: eggs, flour, sugar, shortening, whatever, goes in. Do they even say shortening anymore? But these all go in to make the cake. So when the cake is baked, you pull the cake out, you slice it, and you can't tell me where the eggs are at in there. You know they're in there and that they're contributing to the whole cake, and they're contributing to why the cake holds together and all these different things. So your brain is a very, very, very complex machine that has areas of responsibility like planning, orchestrating, solving a math problem versus intuition, sensing, and so forth and so on. So, language, the ability to read a face, okay? So what happens there? Well, people have had injuries done to the brain. They've had injuries, and now they can't read faces, okay, at all. So whenever they see somebody's face, they don't know who it is. Even though they've lived with this person for 25 years. But let's say if they understood that my wife is the one with the red shoes, and now instead of looking at all the faces, I don't know who anybody is, I look down at the feet and I see the red shoes, oh, that's my wife. They can do that. It's crazy. So there's an actual part of the brain that reads faces. There was another individual who couldn't recognize tools like screwdrivers, hammers, Phillips heads, didn't know what they were. Recognizes a car, recognizes a boat, a lamp, silverware, dishes, but can't see tools, didn't know what they are. Somebody else had brain injury, and they look at a golf ball sitting on a table next to a bowling ball, and they ask them, which one's bigger? And they're looking at it and going, oh, God, I know I should know this. But they can't tell. I mean, oh, my God, think of the complexity of the brain. Okay, that being said, to answer Jair's question more keenly, you are still an intuitive brain type, but as a natural brain type, and it doesn't mean you can't analyze anything. Analyzing means reading the fine print. So this particular person's brain doesn't read the fine print. Over time, because I haven't read the fine print, I keep making bad purchases or bad mistakes. I will learn that I've got to read the fine print if I want to be successful. So I will force myself to read the fine print on a document because it's an expensive purchase, let's say. And then when I'm done, I'm like, thank God that's over, because I have an intuitive brain and I'm forcing it into analytical space because it's in your brain. You have the ability to do it, so you move over to that. But then like an elastic band, you spring back to where you normally are because that's your spot. That's your sweet space. So that's how you operate when not thinking about it. It's default. So we're measuring people's default brain types. So look at the statement setting here. This is incredible. So look at your general unconscious behaviors. What does that mean? Your natural graph in the disc paradigm is representative of your character base, which is unconscious. Okay? Remember, you're taking the test, most like me, least like me. Well, I'm least like this word, so I choose it. What am I saying? I'm least aware of this emotion in my life. So that's going to end up on your graph too. Okay, so that's an unconscious behavior. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Those emotions are there, you're just not conscious of it. So let's take a look at this statement set, and I want to read it to you just to show you how deep and powerful these new profiles are. So your temperament, I'm reading it now, your temperament is extroverted. You're both people and task oriented while leaning on task. Okay, disc, D-I, work, D. D is task, I is people. Okay, he leans on task because when he gets into the other spaces, people takes a back seat. But he can do both, and he's naturally both. This makes you intuition and instinct are your strongest allies. It is uncommon to be both intuitive and analytical. No, that's called integrated. Right here in the middle, where you can be both. So anywhere between, I'll say 1.5 and 1.5 here, you can have both going on. So yeah, Patty, that's a good question, and it does happen. You need to experience the world and connect and control the people in it. So he can connect with people and control people. When he goes to work, he's not as much about connection as he's about controlling. Because controlling is an anger emotion and connecting is an optimistic emotion. This makes you a great opportunist. All is good and favorable, and this too shall pass are the hallmarks that define your brain type. Why is that? Why do certain people think this too shall pass? Because they have a future brain. They're only thinking about the future. So they know that as future people are forward thinkers, forward movers. So what does that mean? It means as I'm moving forward, if you're in a car and you're moving and there's objects standing still, you're passing them. So they know that everything's eventually going to pass because they're always in their brain moving forward. This is called a windshield versus a rear view mirror. And some people's brains are all windshield and there's no rear view mirror. That's why they have a hard time learning from their mistakes, because they move on from their mistakes so quickly they don't get to measure them. Okay? So it's only when they become annoying that they listen to it. All right, what else? Imaginative, demanding, emotional, quick-witted, and easily excitable are the traits your brain type may display. Your psychic energy comes from doing the impossible, taking great risks, and seeking public recognition, praise, and strokes. You will seek ways to display social assertiveness, seek the most favorable circumstances, welcome assignments that display your greatest qualities, fake it until you make it, and will strive to be free from control and details that cramp your style. Your high drive creates a rhino approach to the world, running 30 miles per hour while only seeing 31 feet. Oh my God, I love that. I say that so often. You are choosing to be extreme. Your brain type is highly intuitive. Your intuitive brain is more creative and emotional and less analytical. You will view problems as a whole, make choices based on feeling and thinking. Your unexcited amygdala insists you reach out beyond yourself and experience people and things through intuition and limbic connection, avoiding your rational thinking brain and spending more time relying on your spidey senses. I mean, just that right there. Now, I put months and months and months into writing these statement sets, and I didn't do it alone. I did it using the work of John G. Geyer and Eric Fromm. So they go way back, but they were it. I mean, these guys knew their stuff. People today, sure, they're great. They're untouchable. So I did a lot of research and made sure that I was following a lot of their research because they did it. Why am I going to reinvent that wheel? Anyway, okay. Look at this. General fears and preoccupations. Do you know your brain has general fears and it's preoccupied all the time? So what about this style? People with your pattern tend to fear being replaced by someone more charismatic. It's so good. You'll become increasingly preoccupied with making comparisons. Hey, they didn't give me as much praise as they gave that person. What's up with that? That happens, right? When emotional intensities within this particular pattern increase, the fear of being like everyone else or being upstaged by someone more clever than you takes place. This will cause you to dwell on past instances where you appeared more amazing, or you will increase charm and win others over. Your default behavioral orientation is taking-attracting. This means using your charm to take what you want. Who is this? It's Han Solo. Oh man, so great. All right, what else is in this bag of tricks? We've got more statement sets. Not going to read that. But look at that, a whole page of them. What else we got? Oh, maintaining peer group balance. Look at this. Now this is ridiculous. Okay, is your energy best suited for being in groups or your own individuality? Look at this guy. Okay, 71% in the direction of individual. So I'm like, I thought you might be thinking, I thought you just read, he's like, working with people and charming folks and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they do that, right? But what does this brain want? It wants individual owner 70%. Seeks independence, develops personal uniqueness, takes initiative regardless of circumstances, expresses personal creativity, views others as intruders, lacks vulnerability. Okay? That's a loner. So what you do is you go down here and you look at these statement sets. So this is the language of groups and the language of individuality. So he's an individual, not a group orientation style. So you have positive individual and you have negative individual. Are you a negative or a positive individual? Okay? So here's the positive individual. Here's what they do as an individualistic thinker. They seek self-mastery. They're not trying to master you. They master themselves. They enjoy freedom and autonomy. Personal freedom and autonomy. They initiate activity without anybody else's help. They self-start. They don't wait for you to kickstart their engine. They're self-reliant. They encourage themselves. And they entertain themselves. That's individualism. What's a negative individualistic mindset? They create me against them. They see what's wrong with everyone else. They see others as opponents. They compete with other people. And they complain about everyone else. You might know this person. Okay? So I don't assign one of these to you. I allow you to assign it to yourself. And when you're in a group working with people and you take these behavioral analysis seriously, you'll get everybody else in the group going, dude, you're on the negative end here. And they might be, really? You think so? Oh, absolutely. So what are we going to do about it, right? So that's what this is. This isn't about, oh, that was cool. This is about how am I functioning, and is it to my advantage that I function this way? And if not, what do I need to do, or where do I need to go, or whatever? All right, what else are we measuring here? Is your energy best suited for sensitivity or justice? Well, look at this guy. Justice, okay? 55% justice, 45% sensitive to other people. So what does that mean? That's pretty balanced. So there's times when this guy can drop the hammer, and there's time when he's like, you know what, I get that. I'm really sorry that happened to you. All right, just make sure you're on time tomorrow. They can do both, right? But if you're extreme on one end, then, you're going to, be strong. So what does positive justice look like? Seeks teachable moments, creates accountability, offers rewards, brings correction, disciplines not punishes, gives people space, expects an outcome. What's negative justice? Merciless, makes laws, puts people in rules prison, acts punitively, thinks in terms of black and white, leaves no wiggle room, never forgets. That's negative justice. You may know somebody like that too. And so, very, very powerful. What else we got here? I got to watch the clock. Got a big debrief coming up. Are you best suited for collaborating or contending? All right? Nearly 49-51. Balanced. All right? Positive collaboration. Explores all possibilities. Negotiates environments. Remains faithful to what they say. Builds solidarity. Works towards common goals. What about contention? What's positive contention, if there is such a thing? There is such a thing. Informed position. Considers self and others when making decisions. Points or leads the way. Speaks with a clear voice. Challenges disruptive behaviors. Thinks through to the other side. What's negative contention look like? Emboldened. Considers self only. Refuses to negotiate. Believes they're right. Holds strong opinions. Destabilizes the environment. Limited vision of outcomes. So powerful. All right, what else we got here? Danger zones. Wow. So we mark the danger zones. So if you're in a danger zone, that means something. And so that intensity can become too strong. All right, and you just need to know that. It's on overdrive. Good or bad? Well, it depends. If you're saving somebody out of a lion's mouth, it's perfect. If you're getting somebody coffee, it ain't perfect. Why are these people so stinking slow? That's what can happen. You exercise your available energy. So we're talking about psychic energy. That's not woo-woo. That's brain energy and emotional energy. So here's some bullets. Keeping busy and connected with others to avoid seclusion or becoming bored. I thought you said, Steve, that this person is more independent than group-oriented. They are. They work independently in the group. And the only reason why they're able to be in a group and can enjoy being in a group is because they're connectors, but yet they stay separate. Okay? They're in it. They're not of it. They can easily cut them off, walk away. They don't need personal attention. You got to understand how this works. This is why almost everyone who goes through this with us gets a debrief. I'm tearing up my throat here. Using your emotional equity to inspire and convince people of your attractiveness. Creating a limbic loop by connecting cleverly with those in your immediate space. Initiating direct and inspiring conversations and self-expression to be seen as fascinating. Wow. Very good stuff. All right, a bunch more statement sets, but look at this. This is ridiculous. So we put you in a block that show you your emerging behaviors that underlie your current choices in the world. So I'm just going to read the highlighted blocks. Patty Elsner, negative justice parenting can sometimes be a cause and effect reaction, stress, lacking control, fear-driven, yes. Sure, absolutely. There's a whole bank vault of reasons why we do things the way we do them. And sometimes our 85% of your brain is making decisions and choosing things to do and all these different things unconscious to you. Good example. I want you listening to me, to Patty and Jair and Michael, I know you guys are there, but I want you to think of a city in the world. Think of a city in the world right now. Okay, so you got your city. Did anybody choose Topeka, Kansas? Okay, likely you didn't choose Topeka, Kansas. But do you know Topeka, Kansas exists? Yes, everyone on here knows there's such thing as Topeka, Kansas. You've heard about it. You know for a fact it's a city in Kansas. But how come it didn't come to your mind? You see, you are only conscious of the few cities that came up out of the unconscious abyss in your brain and presented themselves. At that point, no other cities exist. Okay? So, it's really powerful that you understand whatever we have that comes out of the ether in our brain, whatever floats up, that's all we've got to work with. It doesn't mean we aren't aware of those things if they're brought to our attention. It doesn't mean I don't know this. I didn't know there was a Topeka. Of course you did, but it didn't become available to you. And so when parenting children, we could sit down and take a class on parenting and say yes, yes, yes to all these amazing insights, and that's what I want to do, but then you're in a moment with the children, none of those things surface. The only things that surface are these things, and these are your options, and they're all bad. But you pick one because it's all you got. Okay? And this is what happens to people. And so what has to happen is sometimes we gotta get some, your brain is like soup, and that's been settled, and you got all this vegetables and all this stuff at the bottom, and you got to stir that stuff up. So we have to work on ourselves to figure out where we are, what's going on, what's working, what isn't working, and bring these things up so next time they're more available to our conscious mind when it comes to decision making. Okay, so let me just read these blocks. So we got decisions, interactions, so optimistic is about people interaction. Cooperation, that's patience. Procedures, that's fear. Decisions, that's anger. So where does this person fall? Right here. Wants immediate results, takes the initiative, makes quick, excellent, takes the initiative, makes quick assessments, acts without precedent, beats down the opposition, acts as a lone ranger, sees others as obstacles, emotionally distant. Okay, that's one part of the primary emotion bank. What else does this person do? Delivers strokes, compliments others freely, creates energy between others, seeks out compelling people, persuades others easily, makes emotional appeals when needy. It's a combination of the two. You can't read emotions in singular form. You can't look at and eat a cake and just try to pick out the eggs. You can't do it. So you can only read behavioral assessments in line with everything working together in its space. And look at all the options here. They're all over here. And you're going to be coming up on these graphs. Super, super powerful. What about down here? Cooperation. Responds quickly to change. Becomes bored easily. Displays flexibility. Changes lanes and shifts gears with ease. Resists sameness. Delegates menial tasks. Makes off-the-cuff remarks. What about procedures? Free to act, speaks own mind when necessary, criticizes those who restrain others' talent, justifies actions as if upholding truth and justice, becomes impatient with rule followers. Oh my God. Think about this. Okay? What if you're up here at the top? What happens? You ready? Precision and accuracy. Sees others as intruders. Plans the process. Doubts good things will happen. Uses logic and reason. Displays neatness and accuracy. Maintains high standards. Those are the people that always tell you why you can't do it that way. Right? Does that mean they're a jerk? No. It means they have an accurate brain. They don't know how else to think. It's just incredible. Look at what we got here. Look at what we got, folks. We got another one, and we got another one. How you think, how you believe. Powerful. What about this? Productive, overextended. If you're overextended on anger, this block will be highlighted. And it will say aggressive, controls things in people, forceful, views people as opponents, vengeful. Well, what's productive anger? Right here, resourceful, being creative, innovative, logical, seeing beyond the problem. I mean, this thing is sick. Bunch of statement sets. I'm just going over them. We talk about taking, attracting, responding, preserving, outline exactly what it means. Then we measure you. So naturally, this person doing and feeling. When at work, boom, taking, takes control, takes the lead, initiates activity. And I don't care if you like me, because I'm not about attracting right now. Super powerful. So what does it say down here? Potential areas for improvement. You may need to lower project expectations a bit in light of real-world constraints. You may intimidate others with power, position, or politics if you disagree with their agenda. You will sometimes take an ends justify the means approach. You will lose interest in a project or initiative once the challenge is gone. Wow, wow, wow. So that's it. I got 5 minutes to get ready for my next debrief. But this is the IBO report, the Integrated Behavioral Orientation Report. Don't say. It's very powerful. We offer it. It's not cheap, I'll tell that right now, but it's completely life-changing, especially when you're going through it with me. Super, super good stuff. I hope you have a great weekend. I know it's coming up. It's Thursday today. And thank you for letting me share your space this morning. If this is meaningful to you and you want to help me, share the heck out of this for me. It really helps get the word out and increases my business. That's why I do it. But I also love helping people. But got to make money because I own a pool and they are wicked expensive. So to maintain. Thank you, Mike, for showing up, buddy. Appreciate you. And Jair and Patty. So anyway, that's it. I gotta figure out how to sign off here. All right, we'll talk later. So expect me next week. I'll be on. I'll try to give you a heads up next time.